everyone. Thank you for coming to our hormone lecture. Dr. Simona and myself, Aleks Morgan, will be presenting today. I am a nutritionist here at Canada Chemist, where I offer nutritional consultations and live blood cell analysis. All right, so we are going to start. Okay. So we're going to do a quick overview of hormones and the menstrual cycle. Then we're going to talk about symptoms of hormonal imbalance, the role of nutrition, some lifestyle approaches, supplementation, and some other underlying causes that can contribute to hormone imbalance, and also live blood cell analysis. So if you've never heard of live blood cell analysis, I will talk about that a little bit towards the end. Okay, so as I said, very quick overview of a menstrual cycle starting with day 1, which is the first day of menstruation, day 14 ovulation, and 28 it's the end of the cycle, right? So that's a typical 28 day. Obviously the number of days can vary, but that's the main idea. So at the beginning, one of the first things that happens, FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, indicated in blue, starts increasing. And as the name says, it stimulates follicles that are inside the ovaries. And follicles contain eggs, right? And as they start maturing and growing, they stimulate the production of estrogen, indicated in purple. And then, because the body has this system with hormones where they communicate back and forth and regulate each other, the surge in estrogen actually stimulates the production of luteinizing hormone, indicated in green, that stops the further maturation of follicles that are not as mature. And what it does, it actually stimulates the most mature follicle to release the egg that goes down the fallopian tube into the uterus. Now, what happens there, if the egg gets fertilized, the body prepares for potential pregnancy. And this is where progesterone in orange spikes and prepares the womb for potential pregnancy. And if that does not happen, everything goes down, hormones taper off, and we're at the end of the cycle and it starts all over again. All right, so now I would like to talk about some of the symptoms of hormone imbalance. And this is what I use in my practice as a guide to see what could potentially be going on in the body. And I will go through estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone mainly. Estrogen and progesterone, we usually think, oh, they're female hormones, but the thing is, all of these hormones are present in both males and females, just in different ratios, okay? Now, estrogen, and the thing with the hormone balance is that too much is not good, or too little is not good either, so we want to keep that balance going. So with estrogen, when it's too high, we talk about estrogen dominance, and some of the typical symptoms could be heavy periods, fibroids, fibrocystic breasts, and the breast tenderness during the cycle, potentially endometriosis, extra weight around hips. And when we talk about the estrogen that is too low, we're going more into, again, there could be different reasons for this, but typically we are entering into that perimenopause and menopause stage, where the production of estrogen slows down. And then typical perimenopausal and menopausal symptoms, such as vaginal dryness, hot flashes, increased risk of osteoporosis, because estrogen has a lot of different effects in the body. So when the estrogen start dropping, it can actually affect things like even blood pressure, blood sugar regulation, cholesterol. So you've all seen, women in their 60s, that trifecta of medication for those three issues. And then with progesterone, again, if it's too high, potential water retention, depression, headaches, and too low, if you look at the symptoms, it's almost similar to high estrogen, because estrogen and progesterone work together and they are supposed to be in a specific ratio, right? So when we talk about perimenopause and menopause and the fact that the estrogen is the production is going down, but a lot of women can actually have symptoms of estrogen dominance. The whole idea is that So let's say we have estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is dropping, progesterone is dropping, maybe even faster. So even though they're both dropping, that ratio now is changing. So we still have symptoms of estrogen dominance, but it could be because we now need to work on balancing the progesterone in the body. And then testosterone, too high, usually linked to a specific condition called PCOS, or polycystic ovary syndrome. What happens there, there's also the effects of insulin, so insulin resistance, and higher production of testosterone in women that will cause symptoms like acne, hair loss, facial hair growth, obviously infertility because of the higher testosterone, and almost unexplained weight gain. And then when we talk about low testosterone, loss of libido, loss of muscle mass or muscle tone, fatigue, and poor memory. So that was a quick overview of symptoms. Now we're going to talk about the importance of nutrition and some very simple things that you can incorporate to help balance these hormones. So cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts have compounds that actually help the body detoxify what we call bad estrogens, because the body produces estrogens, but we're also exposed to estrogens in our environment that actually can have a really strong and negative effect on the body, and we also call them xenoestrogens. So these types of foods are going to help detoxify and metabolize that estrogen that we don't want circulating in the body. Fiber is actually also going to help with that, because as the liver metabolizes the hormones and dumps it into the colon, we need fiber to actually absorb those estrogens and get them out of the system. Otherwise, we may get into a situation where it's getting reabsorbed and creating more issues. Phytoestrogens. So these are plant estrogens. They are much weaker in the body, and they're able to bind to estrogen receptors. And the idea is that they can help by protecting the cells in the body from some stronger estrogens that can cause more damage. Now, with these guys, it is important to talk to your healthcare practitioner, because they might be contraindicated in certain situations, especially with history of estrogen dominant cancers or predispositions. And specific foods, so soy, flaxseed, lentils, again, do not overdo it. So don't eat soy every day. Every day. And if you do have some soy in your diet, it should be organic, non-GMO, and ideally fermented. So one example of fermented soy is tempeh. Omega-3 fatty acids in fish, some nuts and seeds, very important to bring the inflammation down. And then, of course, antioxidants to protect the cells from any free radical damage that we are all exposed to just in our daily lives. Lifestyle. So there's a lot of different things, but we'll focus on 3 today. Stress management. So we know that stress can affect the body in many different ways, and could be an underlying reason for a lot of chronic conditions. And we also know that we can't necessarily avoid all the stress in our life, but there are things that we can do that can help the body manage it better. So that could be things such as meditation, yoga, deep breathing, going for walks in nature. But there are also supplements and herbs that support our adrenal glands. And that's something that we will talk a bit about later, but it's also something to consider depending on the stress levels that you're going through. Regular exercise, definitely important. And the other thing is also, when choosing what kind of activity you want to do, is listening to your body. Because if you go online and say, oh, what's the best exercise for quick weight loss and whatnot, you'll probably come across HIIT exercise, which is high intensity interval training, which is amazing, but it's not for everybody. Because certain types of exercise, the body also perceives as stress. So in the long run, you may be actually causing more damage than good. So if yoga, swimming, walking is what makes you feel good. You stick with that, do it more often, because you want to feel good before. So you look forward to doing the exercise. You want to feel good while you're doing it, and you want to feel good after, right? So that's kind of the way you can gauge if this is the right thing for you. Sleep, 7 to 9 hours ideally. And also, if you're not getting this amount, thinking about why that is. Is it your schedule? Is there something that you can do with your time management? Or is it something that's related to another health concern or condition, such as high stress, or maybe your melatonin production is low? So kind of digging a bit deeper there. And so a quick list also of some lifestyle factors that do affect our hormones. So chemicals in certain personal care products and household items could be a source of those xenoestrogens or bad estrogens. So limiting exposure is going to be very important. We also know smoking and alcohol consumption. With smoking, exposure to free radicals, and then alcohol consumption, stressing the liver and affecting the liver health. That we know is crucial for hormone balance. And also healthy body weight. We talked about exercise, and sometimes with body weight, it's almost like that vicious cycle, because the reason why there's a weight issue could be a hormonal imbalance, right? And the other way around. So at that point, you need to tackle both lifestyle and balancing the hormones and your diet. So like a full package. Okay, so briefly, supplements for hormone balance. So this is something, obviously, you would talk to your healthcare practitioner about, but this is just for kind of information purposes. So one of the herbs, Vitex or chaste tree, really good for balancing the menstrual cycle and any progesterone specific issues, especially in combination with B6 and magnesium. Then we have maca. It's like a general hormone balancer. It's actually good for both men and women. I put ashwagandha there as an amazing adaptogen for any high stress related issues. But in addition to ashwagandha, there are other herbs such as rhodiola, schizandra, just to help the body manage the stress better. And then when we look at black cohosh, dong quai, red clover, wild yam, and sage, typically you will see those in menopause type formulas. So they also balance the hormones. Black cohosh tends to be really good for any mood related symptoms, and also interestingly pain in the body, like the lower back pain or muscle pain overall from a hormonal imbalance. Dong quai, known as female ginseng, so general tonic. And red clover, wild yam, also typical for menopause. So they are source of isoflavones, which are those plant estrogen-like substances. And then sage, also great for hot flashes or any excessive perspiration. Detox support. So some of these nutrients are actually available through those cruciferous vegetables we were talking about. So just support through the liver to ensure that the body is processing those hormones properly. And then your typical antioxidant, just a few examples, turmeric, green tea, and resveratrol. So with that said, what I do again in my practice, based upon, we'll go through the lifestyle and the diet and the symptoms, and then I use live blood analysis as one of the tools where I would take a drop from the fingerprint. We'll look at it under the microscope, and these are some of the things that I like to focus on because they tell me a lot as to what's going on in the body. So is the inflammation high? If the stress levels are through the roof, if there's any liver congestion, how is the integrity of the gut lining and absorption of nutrients? So any possibility of leaky gut, and is there a lot of parasites, bacteria, and yeast that could be affecting your either energy levels and nutrient absorption? And so here are again a few things that I will look at when I'm looking at live blood analysis. So inflammation, leaky gut, and liver. as some underlying or fundamental things that we want to work on before we consider any more specific treatments. So if their inflammation is really high, we want to bring that down, right? And if there's any leaky gut, we want to make sure that we are working on healing the integrity of the gut lining to ensure proper nutrient absorption. And of course, liver, as we said, the liver needs to be functioning optimally to ensure that the hormones are metabolized properly. And here are some examples. So this image specifically shows inflammation and liver congestion. So these little circles are red blood cells, and you will see here how they're connecting, creating chains. So that's a sign of inflammation. And then this area should be completely black and clear, but there are little lines, I like to call them spider webs. That's an indication of liver congestion. And then here we have these crystals through the sample that indicate protein molecules, because the body should not have these larger molecules in the bloodstream. So that is, I take that as an indication of possible leaky gut and helping the body heal the gut lining. And then here we have red blood cells, and actually two little white blood cells here. And the reason I want to show you this is because the red blood cells are supposed to be round, but here you'll notice quite a few that are oval. So that's a direct indication of a hormonal imbalance. Now, from this, I cannot say specifically which hormones are out of balance or what your levels of estrogen or progesterone are, but this tells me, okay, this is the area where you want to look and dig deeper to really find out what's going on. And with this said, I'm going to let Dr. Simona Scurtu take over, and she will actually talk more about hormone testing and treatment options.